Now, back to the Todd Feinberg Show, live from the NJ Diet Studios on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Oh, so much good stuff to talk about today, and we are talking about it. Joining us right now is Clayton, Jeff Clayton, Executive Director of, I don't have it in front of me. I forget what it's called, Jeffrey. American Bail Association? What is it?
American Bail Coalition. Thanks for having me on.
Coalition. Thank you, sir, because this is, there's all this ugly policy stuff going on in the country that is like this coordinated sabotage of the way business has always been done without there being a full conversation about it. It seems that's happening in Connecticut.
Absolutely. The Constitution state is looking at changing the Constitution as to bail, and it's really not getting much discussion out there.
So tell us.
Absolutely. This constitutional change would eliminate the right to bail by sufficient sureties in Connecticut, which would mean that there's no bail. Nobody would have to post bail to be released. It would replace it with a system of detention, which we don't know what that would look like yet.
You mean that's undefined? It's one of those words in the legislation, but it hasn't been stated what that means?
Absolutely. The legislature is purporting to delegate themselves the power to pick the crimes where judges would be able to detain. And the Sentencing Commission has come up with a list, and it's not a good one. There's all kinds of crimes where somebody's never going to really be arrested or have to face any time in jail pending trial.
So what would this mean if we compare it to business as usual? Tell us how this would play out.
Well, I think it's going to be very similar to the New York bail reform, except a little bit worse because felony theft is not on the list. Hate crimes are not on the list. Violation of protection orders not on the list. All misdemeanor crimes are not on the list. So,
well, comparing it to New York doesn't help because we're Connecticut. We don't know what's going on in New York. But compared to how business as usual in Connecticut, what would change for us?
Well, there would be a large percentage of people that would never face any potential jail time pending trial and would be able to continue to commit the same crimes over and over again. Whereas now under the current law, the judges have the ability to impose a bail to require somebody to post bail, and if they don't post it, they remain in jail. And that would no longer be in Connecticut. There'd be just a narrow list of offenses where somebody would be in jail pending trial.
What is the justification for having a dollar amount set as a threshold that people have to pay? Because they do make this argument about how it's inherently discriminatory towards people who don't have money. Because you know, rich people or people who have resources can go to those resources and just get out. Why are some people held on bail, and what's the justification for that?
Well, obviously, it's a core constitutional right, and it's more expansive than the federal right to bail. So you have an affirmative right to have a dollar amount set so that you can get out and have the possibility of getting out. Does it affect the very wealthy versus the rest of the population? Absolutely it does, but judges should be adjusting those bails even higher. And it's really just, you know, the amount of security that we think is necessary to make sure that we're going to get you back into court. And if not,
is that all? Is that all it's for? I'm sorry to interrupt, but is that the only justification for bail, or is it also that this person is dangerous, like that kid in Massachusetts and Cape Cod who released all those documents? The argument would be made for him, it's being made, that he shouldn't be released on bail. So there are other factors that get considered as well, right?
Absolutely. And consideration of, you know, future risk to the public is also a factor in Connecticut. Can't be the only factor, but certainly is a factor. So
they want to get rid of bail virtually 100%. What's your feeling about what's behind all this?
Well, there's really two things going on. There's the concern about the, indigent parties in the system, and then there's a concern about the Newtown shooting because Connecticut's gotten rid of the death penalty. Death penalty eligible offenses used to be offenses for which bail could be denied entirely. In other words, those people are not getting out. And since the change in the death penalty, life eligible offenses are now eligible for bail. Mm-hmm. So I think people are pointing out that, the Newtown shooter would have been eligible for bail, and they don't like that. And there should be cases where the government can just entirely deny bail. We agree with that, but that's not what this does. And that's what this probably should do, which is fix that issue that the worst of the worst can be detained in Connecticut, which is something that we would support.
So are you saying that they're using a duplicitous sort of argument on this?
Well, I don't know. I think there's two forces kind of combining. One to think that this is the solution to both problems, and it really isn't. The solution to the Newtown problem is very simple, which is expand eligibility, and the solution to the problem at the low end is to look at some of these low end offenses and low end offenders where we don't think bail is necessary, and try to make adjustments as we go along on that without changing the Constitution.
So this thing in Connecticut, this Joint Resolution 261, that doesn't sound like a law.
No, so there's a process to change the Constitution in Connecticut. It'll have to pass by a 75% vote this legislature, and if it does, it will go on the ballot, and the public will decide whether they want to get rid of bail and go to this new system or not.
Oh, so this would go to a vote at some point in the process. Okay. And other states have done this. Has this been going on for a while, this movement, and have people been living with it in other states?
It has been. I think the only other state that would have gone this far was New Jersey. And really, they have focused on the detention side of things and are really detaining a lot of folks without bail. And so, it's possible that the system works. It was hugely expensive to implement, and most states are not going in this direction. They're looking, on the low end, like I said, cases do we not need bail, and then sort of focusing on recidivist offenders at the top end.
Jeffrey Clayton, Executive Director of the American Bail Coalition. Anything else that you think we should know?
No, I think this is a fundamental shift, and I hope people on both sides of the issue would realize that this really isn't the solution to either of the issues that are out there.
Good. All right. Thank you so much for your time. It's interesting to get filled in, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Jeff Clayton, American Bail Coalition. It's, they're slipping ones by all the time. And there's a lot of keeping things below the radar on purpose. So, it can quietly move along as far as they can get it before it becomes before awareness develops. It's very interesting. But there's also this duplicitousness, a two-faced thing that goes on where they make an argument, for something that they're doing, but its motive is different, and they plan on doing a bait and switch. So keep an eye on this bail stuff. 860-522-9842.